Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Amanda and today we are here with a very exciting video because I am going to be reviewing some products that I recently bought. If you haven't seen my haul video, then you should go and check that out because I have put some awesome things that are going to be coming on the channel now and in the future on that video. So if you want to go and see what's to come, then you should definitely go and check that out. For now though, I have two new items that I have got because it's my birthday today. I'm actually filming this on my birthday. I'll be posting it tomorrow, which is my son's birthday, and he's going to be 12, so that's exciting. My second son is going to be 12 weeks. My first son's going to be 12 years old tomorrow, and I am going to be 34. I mean, I am 34 now. Okay, anyway, who cares? The point is, I went to Edinburgh yesterday with my mum, and I was on the hunt for watercolour paper, specifically 100% cotton. But I have seen a couple of people use these hahnemühle or hahnemühle, however you want to pronounce it, sketchbooks, and they are toned sketchbooks. I have used two hahnemühle books in the past. I used a A4 one and an A5 one just with regular paper, and I know that hahnemühle does sell 100% cotton watercolour paper in a sketchbook, I believe, and separately, but my options are very limited. It seems I can't even get 100% cotton watercolour paper in a shop in Edinburgh. Not that I looked very hard. I might have to ask my only artist friend that I know that lives in Edinburgh if she can get that stuff there, because she lives there. Anyway, let's get on with it. So I am going to be reviewing one of these, and this palette. I bought this palette months ago and I've been using it ever since so that I could review it for you. It's a little bit disgusting right now and it needs a good refresh and clean, but I thought this would be the perfect time to review it while it was like this because I haven't used it for a while. It's been months, so that's that. So now the question is, what one am I going to try? I think I'm going to try this one first because I do have a couple of craft books in my stash that I want to test out. And I've been wanting to test out beige paper with gouache for a while, but I basically don't want to do it on the paper that I have because it's craft paper. It's not very decent, and even though this isn't 100% cotton, it is still marketed as watercolour paper, so we're gonna see how we go here. So it is landscape form, which I don't particularly like. If you want to read the back, there it is there, you can pause it or whatever. That's the information there. 200 GSM, £95, which isn't that thick to be honest, but we're planning on using gouache, so it should be okay. And this is the beige one. Did I say that? I can't remember. But the pages seem, whoa, I was going to say a lot thicker than I thought, but that was because there was two. Still seems pretty thick. There's the sound test if you would like, and yeah, it seems like it's going to be really fun to use, so I'm really excited. I think I'm going to do some swatches in the back, or maybe I'll do some swatches in the front, who knows. We'll do some playing with this, and while I paint something in this, I am going to do probably my first impressions of this and my full review of this. So stay tuned, and I will probably eventually get around to doing a full review of this, and we'll see where we go from there. But I'm gonna hunker down and just put on some music or watch something. Probably put on some music, to be honest, or not, because my son is sleeping and I want to be able to hear him if he wakes up. But yes, we will have a good painting time. Okay, hello, welcome to the painting portion of this video. So this palette is a sort of stay wet palette that I bought on Amazon for £9.99. I will leave links in the description below if you want to go and check it out. I'll leave a US Amazon link and a UK Amazon link. They will both be affiliate links, so if you buy anything through that link, I get a small commission, and it is very small and you don't have to pay anything extra for it, so that just helps us out. Anyway, I bought it in October and I filled it up and I used it for a bit. First few months were really great. It was quite fun to use. I actively used it. It seemed to keep the paint really wet and it was enjoyable to have that paint ready to use, because I noticed a lot of the time I wouldn't paint with gouache because I had to get my stuff ready, and that seems really lazy, but
it's just the way my brain works. More steps equals less likely to do things. So I like the fact that I could just take it out and just have it there ready for me, filled up with all my favourite paints. But I did seem to be using a lot more paint than I would have if I had just put out some paints on my palette to start with rather than pre-filling it and using the paint, because I felt like I had more paint than I did. I think when you disperse it out of the tubes, you know how much paint you have, so you don't want to use it as much. But with that, you're like, oh, I have all this paint and I probably have spare, so I'm just going to use a bunch. I don't know, that was my mindset anyway. And I feel like I scooped into it a lot. I also felt like I contaminated the colours quite a bit, and I understand now why a lot of artists actually use a fresh white every time rather than having a white in their Stay Wet palette. But it was fine in the end. Like I usually use white to mix with anyway. I don't really use it as a pure form, so it was fine. And usually I would mix with the same colour. So in the end, I ended up putting whites in all 4 corners of the Stay Wet palette at some point so that I could dip into the white to mix it with reds, dip into a different white to mix it with blues, and so on, so that didn't get as contaminated as quickly as it was getting with just one little tub thing. Or maybe I did that to start with, I can't remember, but now it's completely different paints in it, and it's different now. I haven't actually used the water cup before, but it seems handy. I don't know how sturdy it would be, especially plein air. I did buy this to use it outside, but I didn't get round to it because if you have been following me for a bit, you'll know that October to like now has been quite a whirlwind of things that have been happening, and it's crazy, so I didn't get around to that. Oh, just a little self promo I'm gonna stick in here if you've made it this far, thank you. I'm starting to vlog again, and I am putting my child on the videos, but I'm trying to minimize it, but it's just basically for memories for me, because I was looking back at my old vlogs and I seen a lot of clips of Caden, and it just made me happy to have those memories. So I'm going to be vlogging again and putting that on my vlogging channel. The link will be in the description below. One of the other things that I noticed about this palette is that I feel like there's too many wells. I think that maybe the wells could be bigger and maybe the shape be a little bit different, like more square. I know that you can get different Stay Wet palettes that are similar to this, same kind of concept, so I probably wouldn't recommend this one in particular just because of the wells and their shape and the size. There's a lot of wells and you can get a lot of paint in this, so if you like to use lots of different convenience colours, this would be perfect for you. But if you like a more limited palette like I do, then I think that maybe you might go for one that was a little bit smaller, or just not fill it up with much paint and just have empty wells. Like, it's okay to have empty wells. In fact, maybe it's sometimes handy, I don't know, scrape off excess paint that you're not using, maybe mixes that you've done while on the go. So as you can see in this paint, and I haven't actually used it in a long time, it dried up significantly, a good 2 months, but it is easy to restore. I was just putting some watercolour blending medium in it. You can do it with water as well, but I noticed that it is less likely to mould if you put the medium in it rather than the water. So I just filled it up with the water and, with the medium, and I mixed it with toothpicks, and it did take a long time, especially for the drier colours, to mix it in and re-wet the colours. Very time consuming, easy enough to do, and obviously easier the more you maintain it and the more you use it, but because I hadn't used it for 2 months, it was super dry, especially the Perusian blue. Some of the mixes that I had done, the sepia and the burnt umber, those are the driest colours, so they are very dry, and to be honest, I still haven't even revived the Perusian blue very well, so I think I'm just going to take that out of my palette altogether and maybe replace it with an indigo or something that might be a little bit wetter. I don't even know if indigo would be wetter, but I'm just assuming. Anyway, I think that I would recommend this if you're going to use it quite a lot and you're going to be able to maintain it. But if you're like me and you forget about things and you don't maintain things and you don't look after your stuff very well and you don't use it a lot, I wouldn't recommend this palette. In fact, I think I would actually prefer buy, and I have done this, buy a Gouache palette, maybe a smaller one than the one that I have. But I bought a small metallic one for this purpose, and I emptied out the metallic paint and I filled it up with gouache, and I think that they stay wet a lot longer because I don't know if it's the climate or not, but I've never had any problems with mould with my gouache. I've been using the blending medium to re-wet, and I barely have to re-wet because they seem to stay moist a lot longer, especially the ones that have the silicone topper. I don't have the silicone topper for my green one, but my yellow one I do, and there is a slight difference. They stay more moist for longer and they're easier to re-wet because I just literally put 1 or 2 drops of that medium in and stir it with a toothpick and away we go. Whereas the other one I actually had to dig in and try and re-wet it with my palette knife and all that stuff, and it was a big mess and a nightmare to do. So again, I do recommend this highly. It's so compact and portable and easy to use, and there is quite a little bit of mixing space there as well if you want to use it outside. And the cup is really handy. It has 2 paintbrush holders, and it's got, you know, it clips into the palette itself, and it's got a really good substantial amount of space for water. I really don't want to use the cup though, just to see how it is, but I haven't used it outside, so I've just been using my normal water cups. But anyway, I do recommend it. So now we can go on to my first impressions of the sketchbook. And the sketchbook itself, it feels really good. It's got a nice band and a ribbon. There is no pocket in the back, but I don't really mind that because I don't actually use pockets in sketchbooks. I end up just leaving them empty. Like, I don't ever put anything in there. Usually just put anything that I want to scrapbook or keep in a little envelope for later. I never usually have or go anywhere much with my sketchbooks to have anything in it, and I rarely sketch on loose paper as well, so that's one of the reasons why I don't use it. But obviously that might be a factor that some people will think about, the fact that it doesn't have one, but you can easily make your own pocket. Paper is a nice tone. There's a sort of mechanical texture in the paper, but it's not too noticeable. I didn't even notice it when I was painting, but I did notice it today when I was looking at the painting after I had finished it, and it's been like probably a week since I painted that. The texture is obviously still visible in the painting, but it isn't too much of a hindrance. However, I do not like the look of it. I will be honest, I don't like the look of it, but I think that this sketchbook is good just to practice and study with. The paper is a lot thinner than I'm used to, but it seems to take layers well, and it's smooth enough to get a lot of detail, but textured enough to get some really good dry brushing effects. The paper did curl, so I clipped it down, and I recommend to do so before painting rather than halfway through, because the page will settle a lot better if you clip it down or tape it down before you start painting and let it dry before you take it up. So my paper did curl up on the right top and bottom sides a little bit more than I would have liked, but again, it is lighter paper. I think it's 200 GSM. I think I did say it at the start of the video, or showed you the information at the start of the video, but I can't remember it now. It has flattened out a lot since the painting was wet, but it's still curled up. I don't mind that. At least it doesn't get in the way when you're actually painting. It's really fun to have a different tone to work with and let it show through. I haven't really used beige paper that much. I used to when I was doing portraits, and it was really good for portraits because the beige tone was quite similar to a lot of the skin tones that I was drawing at the time, and it was good to have a mid-tone to work from rather than a bright white for a couple of reasons. One being that it's easier to mix better values when you start with a mid-tone, because you can get darker values and lighter values, and you kind of know that you're starting from the middle rather than brighter to darker. And it's also good because it lets you rest your eyes a little bit from bright white papers, which I don't think actually matters too much, but a lot of people complain that their eyes get sore when they look at white paper and they prefer toned paper. But yeah, it's really nice to make paintings on it because it does seem to show through your paint no matter how much layers you put on, and it did give my painting a sort of warmer, more vintagey vibe than usual too, which was quite cool. But yeah, I think that this sketchbook, I'm really happy that I bought it, or that I got it for my birthday, and I'm really excited to use the grey one. If you have ever used any of the sketchbooks that I mentioned in this video or the palette, let me know. And if you've ever used the water cup in particular, let me know how sturdy that is and how much you like it. I would be curious to find that out. But yeah, like I said, I recommend it if you like it and if you use it a lot. But if you can't be bothered maintaining it, then it's a no-go. But I do highly recommend the hahnemühle sketchbooks because they are fun to use. They are quite pricey, £17.50 I paid, or that my mum paid for my birthday, for one sketchbook. And considering the paper is not cotton at all and it is quite thin, that is quite expensive for a sketchbook in my opinion, because I usually pay like between £10 and £16 for a full on watercolour sketchbook. But you know what, it's fine, it's whatever. It's the beige thing that I like in this sketchbook, and it's the fact that the beige paper is actually quite nice rather than the craft paper that you get sometimes. And I will say that the paper is thicker and better than the Strathmore toned tanned paper, but the Strathmore toned tan is more of a drawn paper rather than a painting paper, so I can't really compare the two because they're made for completely different mediums. I do love that paper for using pencils on and stuff. I have only used gouache in this so far, and I will do a full blown review on the sketchbook once I have filled it up, and I will show you a sketchbook tour when I get round to it as well. So if you're excited about that and you haven't subscribed to me already, then please do hit the notification bell as well so you get notified of all the videos that I post. Thank you so much for the support, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.